big winner for me was Cthulhu Death May Die. That was the biggest surprise for me. It was a game that I didn't think I'd ever enjoy. So Cthulhu Death May Die, it's a CMON game, so a ton of minis, so on and so forth. One of the designers is Eric Lang, designer of one of my favorite games, Blood Rage. And what you are doing just like you're doing the same thing that you do in other Cthulhu-based games. You play an investigator. You are trying to kill a monster. You have to do something before you get the chance to to kill the monster. Every round, something bad happens. It's never good, and you have to deal with that throughout the game. Mm-hmm. Arkham Horror LCG has very much the same format. Mm-hmm. Elder Sign, Arkham Horror 2nd and 3rd edition.
Marvel Dagger has the same thing.
Yeah. Eldritch Horror.
Elder Sign. And also Eldritch Horror has a similar mechanic as well. Yeah. So, but what makes Cthulhu Death May Die different to a number of these games? I think the best way I can explain it is that imagine Arkham LCG with less story, and imagine Elder Sign, but faster.
Okay.
And you have Cthulhu Death May Die.
Sounds good.
So I played the little girl. It was fantastic.
What was her name? Did you give her a name?
She was literally called the girl.
Yeah, that's straight out of a horror movie.
Straight out of a horror
movie.
and you look at the photo of her. She just looks absolutely possessed. She has a fireball in one hand. It's like, yes, okay, this is going to be amazing. At the beginning of the game, you draw a weakness, and it's unique to everyone.
Yep.
And what my weakness was that every time every time my insanity increased, if I was in a room with anyone else, I would become more and more exhausted. Exhaustion is what you use to alter the value of dice.
Being crazy with other people is so exhausting.
Exactly right.
It's so exhausting being crazy with other people.
That is the whole thematic tie-in.
Yeah.
But the premise of the game is this: every round you take 3 actions. Mm-hmm. The actions could be fight, rest, run. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Cool.
Okay. Investigate. Apologies, there was another one. And what you do is, if there are cultists or any other monsters in the room, you can say, I'm going to fight. You roll your 3 base dice, plus any bonuses that you happen to pick up via your character upgrades. Every character has 3 rows of upgrades. It's probably not possible to max out all 3, but I'll leave those who are more experienced with the game than me to correct me on that. Mm-hmm. You roll your dice. Any hits, they count as hits against the monsters. Misses are just blank sides. There's also anything with the Elder Sign. Some characters respond differently to Elder Sign, so an Elder Sign may count as a hit, or it may count as a way to you improve your health, or so on and so forth. If every character has a slightly different ability.
Yep.
The last one is horror. Just like in Arkham, where every time you take on horror, you are getting closer and closer to the end of your game.
Right.
This does the same thing. However, that also ties into your upgrade cycle. The only way you can upgrade your character is to slowly become more and more insane.
Okay.
And the cool part is that at certain intervals, as you become more and more insane, you get more dice. Right. So you get more powerful, but you are increasing the chances of you just becoming more and more insane. Cool. And you have no option as to whether or not you want to roll only some of these dice. You have to roll all of these dice. So at one point, my character was literally an insane human wrecking ball. I was rolling 10 dice at one point, going insane at an alarming rate and having the time of my life.
Sounds good.
I laughed for 90 minutes straight during this game. It was brilliant. I loved it so much so that I bought a copy the following day.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's what I really loved about Too Many Bones.
Yeah.
The absurdity of how many dice you can get to roll.
Yeah.
Arkham Horror the LCG does have some cards where, okay, if you have 3 or fewer sanity, like if you have 3 life left, you can play this ridiculous card.
Yeah.
But it's so situational in a methodical, strategic game.
Yeah.
Whereas that just sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and unlike Arkham, and I couldn't see a way, certainly with my character and the other two characters that were at the table,
Yep.
of ever reducing our horror.
Yeah.
Whereas in
So
Arkham
you're always
LCG,
down to that point.
You're always down to that point.
Yeah.
Now, you at the end of every round, you draw a mythos card, which represents the bad things happening.
The
Yep.
game working.
And then if you happen to be in a room where you are safe, you draw. You can also draw a different card, and assuming you can meet the criteria, you can either take one side of the card, which typically is a bonus. It could be a companion that you bring along with you.
Cool. Puppy.
Or it could be something net negative that permanently impacts you for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is picking up the game, as someone who had played Arkham Horror LCG in the past, the rules were clear as glass.
They sound very similar.
It was very similar. It's like,
Yeah.
this feels like Arkham. Let's go.
Let's roll.
But what I will say is that anyone who walks into this game expecting more Arkham, the story is not there.
Okay.
Yes, there is thematic tie-in, but the story is just not there.
Because I felt that with Mansions of Madness.
Yes,
The game is there. It has a theme. It has a story to it, but it's not
Yes.
really...
So would you say
anything
this is
on-
kind of like for the Cthulhu fan, but who doesn't really want to play with cards, just wants to play with dice more? So
I would say that, but I would actually take it a step further. Arkham Horror LCG, and I don't want to spend too much time comparing, but it's impossible to stay away from the comparison. Arkham Horror LCG shines with anyone who wants to do deck building.
It's
Right.
definitely more strategic.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay, right.
absolutely. Like Arkham shines
yep.
in trying to complete even if it's just a side quest,
Right.
even if it isn't a whole campaign.
Yeah.
Where you say, all right, I'm going to give this a go with this character, and you say, I really need a way to evade more. Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to rebuild my deck. Go again, sort of thing.
Okay.
Or you can have it over a campaign and fix the little holes
That's
in your
right.
deck
Yes.
as you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
I really have to show you guys this game at some point.
Whereas Cthulhu Death May Die is you get handed 18 different character cards. You go pick one. They're all ridiculous. Okay, and then you get handed a weakness. I can't remember if it's called a weakness, but in my brain it's
It
called,
sounds
called
like
a weakness card.
It's like some sort of handicap
Yeah.
in a way.
And that's it. And that is random. And it's like, okay, what are we doing? We're doing this scenario, and away you go.
So there's 4 scenarios in the box.
There are 6 scenarios
Right.
and 2 different bosses. So even if you just played with the same investigators,
Yeah.
there are 12 different combinations there.
Okay.
There are 18 different investigators.
And how long does this game take to play?
90 minutes, including a teach.
Yeah,
and
90 minutes.
one of the players was very, very new to Arkham. Actually, sorry, we had 4 players. So we had someone come in.
Someone died.
No, sorry, apologies. I just remember we had someone come in halfway through the first round, and they just jumped in and they went straight away. We basically just went,
Oh, cool.
You're maybe a little bit insane. That's it, and away you go. And it was
like
great.
Yeah,
It was
just
great.
a little bit
Love that.
insane. You're like Russell Brand insane.
That's
Like,
it.
it's
Yeah.
just-
And honestly, the game was over in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was just,
That's great.
it was brilliant. Look, I love this game.
Sounds like I really have to play this.
Yeah,
game.
look, it's just, it's
Because I'm in an Arkham Horror game, just a solo game at the
Yeah.
moment, just playing two-handed. I'm playing the Scarlet Keys
Nice.
right now. I've
Yeah.
almost finished it, but it's the type of game where the story is fantastic, but you could be reading that story for like it's a whole chapter in a book.
Yeah.
You know, like it can be a bit much at times, but that's fantastic. Honestly,
yes.
it sounds great.
So we will play that.
Yeah, I'm
soon.
keen.
Fantastic.